All right, so I guess I better do what the movie said and text some people. So let's see. There we go. Now we can actually get this movie started.
Oh, fuck off, Boogie.
What's up, y'all? Boogie Night here, and welcome back to another episode of Boogie Night Revisits. Once again, I'm joined by the amazing Rae. What's up?
That's right. I'm Rae. Hi, what's up?
Okay, so we watched God's Not Dead. And that was it was a movie. Shit happened in it. Lots of things. I think I first watched it. I didn't even watch this movie with more guests. I actually watched this solo a couple of years ago, and the more I think about it, the more I am pissed off about this movie. Like, this movie was just downright offensive.
Yeah, this was my first time watching it, and it was a terrible movie for all the wrong reasons. That's how I can pretty much sum it up.
I mean, I've seen some pretty trashy movies, and I've subjected you to two already, but I think this was like the bottom of the pile.
It really was. Like, they had so many like racial stereotypes, and just they whitewashed like religiously, if that makes sense. It was terrible. Like, and obviously they had no respect for anyone but themselves.
Yeah. I mean, at least Kirk Cameron Saving Christmas didn't take itself seriously.
Yeah, seriously.
Or we didn't take it seriously. I mean, but this movie just, it was a straight up goddamn victimization piece.
It was, dude. It was like the worst. It was like the worst kind of victimization. Like, just every character had that victimization like aspect of it. Like, every character, it was just, it was such a dumpster fire. Like, it was, I don't even know. I can't even like emphasize how terrible it was. Like,
yeah,
it pisses me off.
I mean, it was borderline propaganda.
It was literally propaganda. I mean, at least with Kirk Cameron, like, everyone knows smart people know there's no such thing as the war on Christmas.
Thank you.
But with this movie, it was straight up, Christians are victims, and, like, if our faith is strong, then we can overcome anything, and science is our bitch. And it's like, nothing, just, oh my God, they didn't prove anything, or they were just shitty people. That's all they proved.
Yeah. I mean, it was a straight up join or die movie. It's like, if you're not with us, you're against us.
Seriously. I could not believe the amount of victimization that was going on in this movie. It was so terrible. I felt so angry at everything.
I don't mind bringing the rage back. I mean, I think we pretty much blew our loads when we first watched it. But
sorry,
I mean,
I'm still sick, by the way.
She's sick of this movie. She's sick of me subjecting her to like Christploitation flicks.
No, I got sick during my live stream, and then I'm recovering from it now.
And she's gonna get sick after we record this because she's talking to me again. So,
every time you text me, I puke a little in my mouth. No joking.
Well, that's because now you're stuck seeing my face.
Well, the puke's coming out of a different hole now.
Well, so you're wearing brown pants is what you're implying.
Well, they're black, but you can't tell.
Oh, yeah, it's universal.
Anyway,
so we watched a movie, a really shitty one. But no, I mean, this fucking movie. I mean, it was the kind of movie that, who's that prick that blew up those Planned Parenthood places? What was it? James O'Keefe. Like, this is like the sort of thing like he like throttles his monster to. Or like Dinesh D'Souza with his like right-wing Christian propaganda and bullshit.
Well, this movie was designed specifically for obviously for Christian people, but it was propaganda in the fact that it was like, you are a victim because you are a Christian, and it's like, you gotta stay strong in your faith because there are people who want to hurt you. And it's like, the worst thing to happen in that movie was someone died, and it wasn't even a Christian. And
yeah.
It doesn't make sense how they're the victims here.
It really doesn't. I mean, if you look at this movie, it was bad things were happening to the Christians almost as like a test of faith.
Yeah, it was kind of like reading the Book of Job, but like nothing was happening to them. Like it was all in their head. And it's funny how, for a Christian movie, it played out like, the whole world was against them. And, the main character was this like warrior for God who was standing up for his faith because God felt like he felt like God was commanding him to. It's so weird.
It was almost like, if we're going to keep waxing religious, like Jesus in the desert when the devil was tempting him with all this shit. And it's like, if you just give up, we'll be fine. You'll no longer be subject to bad things.
Yeah, no, it was like I spent most of the movie bitching about the plot, bitching about the characters, bitching about the plot, and it was terrible. And like it pissed me off so much, especially the Muslim character. Like, oh my god.
Oh my god. Yeah, we're definitely going to get into that.
Yeah, well, let me just clarify, not for the reason that I just specified. Like,
yeah,
we'll get into it.
I mean, and the more I think about it too, is God's Not Dead 2 was not as offensive as this.
Really? I haven't seen it yet.
Don't worry, we're going to be watching that later on. But no, okay, so the only thing I'll give this movie credit for was the cinematography was marginally better than Kirk Cameron's Saving Christmas.
Yeah, at least with the cinematography, like it was professionally done. It was definitely movie studio quality. Kirk Cameron was probably just like a camcorder.
Camcorder, I see what you did there. I mean,
I didn't mean to do that. That was
well done. There you go. The dad jokes have already started on this because we're that tired. But I mean, okay, so cinematography, whatever. Special effects, whatever. Let's just delve into the characters because this is where the movie really hits the road.
So the main character is this young college boy who's obviously the Christian and like the hero of the movie, and he ends up taking a college course, which, like, what was it, by the way? Like
Philosophy 101, like probably one of his core classes.
So I just want to say off the bat, I think, so he signed up for a class he knew was going to be not theistic. Like philosophy, come on. Like philosophy is about like, it's philosophy, enough said.
Yeah. There's nothing theological about it.
Yeah, and if you sign up for that, you're clearly not going to be talking about God. So he took this class aware that it wasn't going to be godly. And the whole movie started because of him. Everything that transpired was all because of him. And he's the most annoying kid.
And the way it's implied by the end is it's going to create this snowball effect to college universities around the world.
Sad thing was it was based on a true story too.
Yeah, I mean, mind you, I haven't done research, so I don't know if these court cases, quote unquote court cases, because at the end the movie actually lists a bunch of court cases of like Christian groups being persecuted for their beliefs. I'm actually going to do some digging and see if that's legitimate, or we're talking just like bullies in,
I was about to say they were probably crying because they were anti-LGBT or something.
Yeah, like, probably. It's like they probably a gay person wanted to join up with that.
Yeah, they're like, these are actual court cases of Christians being persecuted, but then when you look into it, they were like hateful people picketing funerals and stuff. So
yeah, like the I said the Branch Davidians. God, wouldn't that be interesting? Fred Phelps and the Westboro Baptist idiots.
They were terrible people.
So were the Branch Davidians, but I think if I came down to like rhetoric, the Branch Davidians were mildly more tolerable.
Anyways, go back to the
okay, so the main character, Josh Whedon.
I know, right? Joss, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure Joss Whedon himself is probably going, "Oh my god."
I know the first thing I asked was Josh Whedon. I was like, is that supposed to be like play on like Joss Whedon? Like I knew created like Firefly and Buffy and shit.
I know. I kind of want to watch Serenity now. At least that was decent. But and his girlfriend, who was, blonde haired, blue. Don't worry, whitewashing is gonna be something we talk about quite a bit in this movie. You have him as the main character, and goddamn Kevin Sorbo. Oh my god. I grew up in the 80s, so I mean Hercules, Kevin Sorbo. I mean, there's you think one, you think the other. I mean, it's like Lucy Lawless and Xena, and he played the villain, this demonic philosopher professor, six-figure, seven-figure salary, beautiful house, trophy wife, getting drunk with all his philosophy comment or his colleagues and whatnot, talking about anti-religion and philosophy and atheism, blah, 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 blah.
Well, Kevin Sorbo's character was supposed to be the evil atheist. Like he was supposed to be like the character character. I don't know what I'm trying to say. He was trying like all Christians have this idea of what an atheist looks like, or an atheist is, and it's always the same stereotype. Like he's just cold-hearted, he's cruel, he doesn't care about anyone but himself, and he thinks he's smarter than everyone. Like that's what Kevin Sorbo's character was.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was the exact opposite to these hard-working Christians who are striving for good, and bad things happen, and then you've got this Kevin Sorbo. It was like he's playing like a vampire.
Pretty much, and it's like an atheist, a real atheist. He would go out of his way to like put what was his name, Josh down and stuff, and like just the way they portrayed how an atheist would react to a Christian is not at all right. Like
the elevator scene.
Like, yeah, dude. Like they don't go out of their ways to like put people down and make sure like they know that God doesn't exist and stuff. It's like who fucking cares? I don't necessarily believe in God either, but if someone said, I'll pray for you or something, I'd be like, you do that.
Yeah, good,
like,
good on you.
Yeah, I don't care.
I mean, who cares? I mean, it's just, and I was raised Catholic. I'm still relatively spiritual, but for me, it's just kind of an overarching thing. But I mean, I've got my best friend in the world's an agnostic, and we don't agree on certain things, but we leave it at that, and we still respect each other. I mean, who cares? As long as you're not an asshole.
Yeah, no, I'm agnostic as well, but like they portray atheists as just being cold-hearted assholes who will go out of their ways to try and bring you down because that's what they care about, is making sure that you're not Christian anymore.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's like, oh, you must convert to atheism.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like, Christians have been doing that for years, like going to doorsteps and talking about the word of Christ and threatening people with eternal damnation or anything. Like, who's ever heard of that?
No, I've never heard of that before. Christianity is beautiful. It's good. Excuse me, I got to go get some hot chocolate over here.
Such a peaceful religion. It's not like they ever, crucified people or
started wars
or argue with each other on a daily basis because someone else's religion is slightly different Christianity than them. I don't know. There's somebody anyway.
Yeah, I mean, and then you got the whitewashing behind it because there is an Asian person who I'm guessing is probably Buddhist, judging from his relationship with his dad.
No, I don't think he was Buddhist, actually. I think he was more, I don't want to say atheist, but he just was probably like, I don't know, he seemed like really neutral about it.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Because like his dad was a very successful, fast-paced businessman.
Mm-hmm.
And, if you're like in China, for example, they're just so fast-paced that they don't have time most of them don't have time for religion. And it's like, you study hard in school, become a doctor and your life is set. They don't have time for religion, but I don't think he was a Buddhist, honestly.
Okay, yeah. But what really pissed me off the most was the Muslim girl.
Yes, okay.
And she didn't piss me off per se, but her portrayal is this staunch Muslim, wears partial hijab, very strongly acting father, very conservative Muslim traditionally, but she is a closeted Christian.
See, and that really rubs me the wrong way because it's like, if you're going to try to be like multicultural by having a Muslim character, have a Muslim character. Don't make her secretly Christian, like that's so awful. And that, it goes back to the whole like victimization. Like she feels she can't be she feels like she can't be a Christian because her parents will disapprove of her. But I mean, and that's true because but the realistic side of it is if you're born in Middle Eastern places and you're Muslim, you're not going to be a Christian. You're not going to be a Christian at all. You're going to be, they're so set in their own faith that it would be blasphemy to be a Christian, honestly. And that's
Precisely.
Like,
no. Go ahead, sorry.
No, you're fine. It was just like in the pitch meeting, they're like, we need more characters. How about we bring a Muslim? It's like, oh, wait, why don't we make her a Christian? There we go. It's like I don't know if they were trying to prove that Christians accept everyone, or if, you know, they were, I don't know. It just, the way they portrayed her was awful.
And for the okay, so in the opening part when it's introducing the characters, she's in the car in hijab with her father, and she gets out, and as soon as he drives off, she takes off the hijab. So she's like a normal girl.
Yeah, dude. And that's like, you know, when I was in college, you know, every Muslim person or every Muslim woman was covered head to toe. Like, there was nothing secret about it. And the thing is like, if you go to most universities, there is no like stigma around Muslim people. Like, they're just as accepted as other people. Yeah. But the fact is, he took it off because, like, I don't know, like, they were trying. She seemed like she was ashamed of it almost, you know.
Yeah,
like,
well, I mean, like almost a double standard. Like, she was ashamed to be a Christian around her father, and then ashamed to be a Muslim around her classmates.
Yeah, it was so weird. It's like, because when they were introducing her, she was just wearing a hijab and not like she wasn't like covered. She was wearing like pants and a nice shirt, and it's like that. You know, for one, she's not properly dressed because in Muslim religion, she should be covered head to toe.
Yeah,
there's no way her father would let her go out looking like that, you know?
Exactly. And then on top of it, to kind of round it all out, we have David A.R. White, who's the producer and the director, by the way, and the founder of PureFlix, as basically the kind-hearted priest, and his colleague, who's an African-American, or no, he actually was an African, judging from his accent.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, he was this all-loving pastor, but throughout the whole movie, he was like having a difficult time with his car.
There's that. I mean, and it's even more stupid about the whole victimization thing, just because like his car won't start, then a guy from a rental car gives him another car, and that car won't start, even though seconds later it was fine pulling up into the parking lot. They were supposed to get to some sort of event in the other side of town. And then a car would start like 3 times, and it came down to his African priest buddy to somehow pray the car back to life.
It was awful. But, you know, the worst part about his character was what he did at the end, which makes it so unforgivable, because he is like, throughout the whole movie,
God.
Throughout the whole movie, he's just this whiny little white boy with first world problems. But then at the end, he just the whole movie just, oh my God, he just becomes the most horrible person in that whole movie.
Mm-hmm. And here's the other, I mean, I would probably watch this movie again if it was just shenanigans between David A.R. White and his African friend. Like, it was just those two, like, just goofing off. I mean, they probably have this weird odd couple thing going on, you know?
They did, huh? I can see that, yeah.
I mean, because he's all like, oh my God, blah, 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 this is freaking out. And then his African's like, calm down, my friend, calm down. And that fucking exchange between them all throughout the movie, the God is good all the time, and all the time God is good. Like, more to guess, Josh Silverleaf and I used to joke around back when we had our little stream team going on, just the 4 of us, that we were like, the pain train is good all the time. And all the time the pain train is good, just to make fun of this fucking movie.
You know, and the thing is, I started watching this movie thinking it was going to be funny, and it just pissed me off. But then I wasn't even enjoying it. It was just bitter and just filled me with so much rage.
It was almost nihilistic when you think about it.
It was disrespectful. It was like, it was disrespectful to lots of things. It was disrespectful to, like, well, for one, like, you're paying to go to college to learn, and you end up disrupting it just because you're offended. So you have no respect for anyone but yourself, other religions, you know, just making it about you. It's just, this whole movie was just one big disrespectful diss track.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and then you have Kevin Sorbo's wife, who's also a closeted Christian. So you got the atheist and his Christian wife, and bad things happen to her. And then you have the possibly agnostic, possibly slightly Christian news reporter who's like doing Johnny on the spot stuff, and her big shot boyfriend.
Let's get into her in a bit, but like the wife of Kevin Sorbo, like, yeah, she was a closet Christian. And that's another theme about this movie is like there was several characters who were closet Christians, weren't they?
Mm-hmm.
It was her and then the Muslim girl. We were just talking about her. Yeah, there's another theme too, is like there's people who are ashamed of being Christian, and like I don't know what the movie was trying to portray, but it was like, you know, there are people who are ashamed to be Christian and that's not right or something. I don't know. It was really weird.
I don't get it. I mean, it just bothered me at how it's like, unless you're an outright blatant Christian, you know, you don't matter in the world, and you need to convert wholeheartedly to this born-again right-wing format.
Seriously, and it goes back to the victimization too. Like, you know, there's two characters who were closet Christians because they were afraid of how people would treat them, and it's like, why do Christians assume like the victimization in this movie is so strong. It's like, what makes you assume that people are going to react violently? I mean, to be fair though, I mean, there are parts of the world where Christians are being executed, but when you live in America and you know you're preaching intolerance and hatred, you're gonna want you should not question why people are pissed off at you.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about the execution thing. Part of this movie, and I'm gonna dredge back part of my review to God's Not Dead 2, was there's an old Christian movie called A Footman Tire You What Would Horses Do, which is basically a 90-minute tirade by this dead pastor Estes Perkle. And he talks about basically if you aren't a Christian and you don't stand up for your beliefs, Christianity is going to be outlawed via execution. And there's one scene at the end of A Footman Tire You when the communists raid and the kid gets his head cut off. Right after he's like, I'm going to pray for you like my daddy prayed for me.
Okay.
And it's just, I don't know, it's this whole victimization thing, it almost strikes me as it's like they are just towing the line saying if you aren't standing up for your beliefs, God's going to condemn you to hell. And if you do stand up for your beliefs, you're going to die.
Yeah, no, it's like, the one thing I've always had a problem with Christians is like my grandma, for example, was a hardcore Christian. She felt like she could, you know, say horrible things to people. Like if you she told me and my sister one time that if we ended up liking women, she couldn't love us anymore. And it's like, why can you say things like that? And then when people get mad at you for it, you're the victim. Like, you're clearly just a fucking asshole, and you kind of have it coming, you know?
Yeah.
But no, it's the fact that you're a Christian is what makes you a victim. It's like, no.
And I mean, and news reporter girl.
Well, hold on, wait. I wanted to make a point about the wife, though.
Oh, yeah. So back to the wife.
Because there was that dinner party. Okay, so it all started when she was like, I think you're going a little too hard on Josh because, you know, he's got a point. And he was all like, what are you talking about? You know, he's a philosophy teacher, for one. He's a college professor. You know, like, he knows his shit. Like, he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And some little shithead who has no idea how the real world works is trying to, like, school him. Yeah. But his wife takes the kid's side because he's a Christian. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, okay, for one, I made this point. There's no way that an atheist and a Christian would ever fall in love with each other. Like, it's possible, and it probably has happened before, but it's not likely because they're just majorly different. Like, yeah. If you can't agree on philosophy and, like, you know, if you don't agree on things, it won't last long. Yeah. So that was the big fault right there, is they were married. Mm-hmm. Secondly, it was like, that's your husband, you know, and if you truly loved him, you would have a side no matter what.
The subservient wife trope.
Yeah, like, it's like, even if he was in the wrong, you would still have his back because that's your husband. But no, she was letting him know that the kid was right, and it's like, oh, never mind. You know, it's not like I went to college for so many years to get my degrees, but the kid's right because he's a Christian.
Yeah, just let's stamp out years of research and dissertations and working around, and probably, God knows how many books and papers he's already published.
I was about to say, do you know the requirements to become a philosophy teacher? A lot.
Yeah. My philosophy 101 teacher back in college. I mean, guy knew his shit.
But then on the flip side, and this was actually fucked up, he was having a dinner party with his philosophy friends, and they just all talked mad shit about her.
Yeah. I mean, it was like Life of David Gale all over again.
And I was like, to be fair though, I mean, she's hosting this party, she's feeding you, giving you wine, she's being a hostess. The last thing you should do is like talk shit about her to her face because she's a Christian. Like that was fucked up. I agree with that part. Like that's fucked up.
Completely opened the floodgates.
But the fact that they did that to each other, like they just totally shit on each other, is like yeah, the relationship was not going anywhere great.
Yeah. Sure. It was on borrowed time before the movie even began.
Right.
So, and then, okay, so that kind of wraps up Wifey. I don't even know her. I don't even know half the characters' names in here except for Josh.
That's a good point. They didn't really like go much in names, did they?
No, they didn't. I mean, no other character was named for whatever reason. Like, I don't remember Kevin Sorbo's character's name. I don't know his wife's name. I didn't know Muslim girl's name. I didn't know Asian boy's name.
I think they said the Muslim girl's name once.
I think so, but I mean, other than that.
Well, because remember I commented that didn't sound like a Muslim name?
Yes. You said it was almost like a Spanish name.
Yeah. Well, it was played by a Spanish girl, but like it sounded Spanish. And I was like, that does not sound Muslim. No, wait, I said it sounded like African, actually.
Yes.
Like African. Yeah, it didn't sound Muslim at all.
No, it didn't. Or Middle Eastern, I guess, because I mean there are African Muslims.
That's true. Well, yeah, but I mean it's a Christian movie, and they have a Muslim who's secretly Christian. So my guess was they were like, "What's the most Muslim sounding name we can think of?" And they're just like, "I don't know. Have you tried Mexican names?"
And suddenly this turns into Napoleon Dynamite.
I know.
Well, you do live in the sticks. But yeah, I mean, it's just, and then you have news reporter girl who does like Johnny on the spot stuff, and her big shot boyfriend who's like a CEO of some big company, like the suit, the tie, view of the city skyline, the whole 9 yards, complete bullshit. And she's got cancer.
Yeah, I love how they also portrayed the atheists as being not just miserable and cold-hearted, but like, if you're not a Christian, bad things will happen to you. And her character was like that literal definition. Like, she got cancer, what else happened? Something else happened that was really big.
That was the big one, was her having cancer.
Yeah, and then her boyfriend broke up with her. But basically, like, they were trying to show you that if you don't believe in God, your bad things will happen because only through God can good things happen to you.
Yeah. I mean, it's complete bullshit. I mean, and we're going to get into more about her and finding her faith, if you want to call it that. But so, as you said, Josh takes the philosophy course with Kevin Sorbo. And and by the way, Josh, being the good Christian that he is, his girlfriend breaks up with him because apparently he's not focusing enough on her. He's focusing too much on that.
Oh my God, that was a whole thing in itself. Like, that pissed me off too.
Yeah, I mean, and that just goes back into the shaming of it. And she's like, you've got your education ahead of you, you got your whole life ahead of you, but you're going to defend Christ.
She made really good points, though. Like, her message was like, every action is a consequence, and he chose not to listen to her, and then she couldn't handle it, and it was her fault for something. So she was actually in the right.
Yeah, no, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Yeah, it was just it just pissed me off. You okay?
Yeah. Cost him. Well, like, this whole movie started because of him, of Josh.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, Josh was pretty much he was the villain for all intents and purposes.
well, to normal people, was the villain, but no, the atheists were
Nope, it's always the atheist's fault.
always atheists.
Yeah, of course. So, yeah, but I agree with her on the actions have consequences. That goes without saying.
Well, yeah, because, well, she asked him not to do it too. Like she asked him to like take a break and step back from it and focus on what matters the most. And the fact that he could do that because of his faith so strongly about it that he had to go and disrupt a class and a lecture and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
It just also showed that he has no respect. The fact that he's playing the victim because he's Christian. He's a selfish asshole who can't even let it slide for once.
Yeah, and by the way, you're coming in. You're kind of roboting a little bit.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. For some, the connection's been a little funky.
But yeah, like he was so selfish, and it just couldn't even do that because he feels so strongly about his faith. And it's like he can't accept the fact that not everyone is a believer of God.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, so he takes the Philosophy 101 course, and right out of the gate, he knows it's going to be bad because the guy that's like signing him in for his class is like the Johnny on the spot registrar guy. He's like, oh well, good luck. He's going to eat you for he literally says he's going to eat you alive. So he takes the class anyway, and right out of the gate, Kevin Sorbo's like, this is a philosophy class. All the greatest philosophers in the world, according to history, are atheists. In fact, he goes to the point, he goes, and this is where the movie hits the road, as it were. He says that each person in the class, each student has to write God's dead on a sheet of paper and sign their name. Which almost reminds me of during the Red Scare and Joe McCarthy, when companies actually had to have their employees sign declarations of loyalty to America so they could prove they weren't secretly communist.
Well, and okay, so I also made this point too. Remember, it's illegal to, well, not preach, but like talk about your religious beliefs to your students, right?
Yeah.
Well, that goes for atheism too. Like, I know atheism's not, you don't believe in religion, but it's like you can't tell your students to write God is dead because that's technically religious.
Yeah.
That's so off the bat, Kevin Sorbo is in the wrong because you don't do that. But next thing you know, this kid took a huge offense to it, and this whole movie started because of that.
So it turns into, because Kevin Sorbo sees that Josh didn't write God's dead like the obedient little ass plow he is. And he's like, okay, tell you what, we are going to have 3 days to debate each other whether God exists or not. And if you are wrong by the jury of his peers, he's going to get an F because, that happens. It's complete. Oh my God. Here, the rage is coming back. Oh my God. That does not fucking happen in any college scenario.
No, seriously, like from the professors I've had, it's like if you don't do an assignment, that's fine, but you're definitely not going to pass. So it's like there wouldn't be this dramatic, like, why don't you come and teach the class and show me I'm wrong? It's like, who does that? That never happens.
It happens in Kevin Sorbo's mind. But
still on the direct class?
No. David A.R. White did. But I mean, Kevin Sorbo being the villain, the antagonist. So, oh crap, hang on, we're losing you. Yep, you're back. Okay, cool. You just crackled out for a minute.
I'm on my phone.
Probably. Anyways, okay, so Josh does this incredibly in-depth research on proving the existence of God, which does not prove any. Okay, first of all, hang on. So God is dead. Okay, how can something be dead if it didn't exist, wasn't alive to begin with? To die, you have to be physically alive like you and me.
Well,
a construct. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, I think it was like the idea of God, or like compared to like back in the old days when everything was religious driven, whereas now it's not so much. You know, I think that it was the idea that God is dead, but he took it as literally. So
Yeah, literally, it's like, okay, so God, if God exists, it's a construct. And to be considered dead, according to Webster, it means without a heartbeat or a pulse in the brain. Things that a deity or a construct would not have to begin with. So that is a hole in that theory to begin with.
well, yeah, but I mean, there's got to be some kind of title that catches the Christian's eyes. They got to get offended by something. You know what I really like though is like every argument the kid Josh presented wasn't an argument; it was a counter argument. Like, how do I explain it? It's like if you were to say I like cheese, and the kid would be like, he'd say something along the lines of, "Oh my God, what's a good point?" Because like he would just counteract it as if that was an argument and wasn't. Like he didn't prove anything.
He didn't. Like, he was just basically restating what was already existing to begin with.
So if I were to say I like cheese, he'd be like, "Well, what if I told you that you didn't actually like cheese, but you think you do?" And it's like that doesn't prove anything. Like you didn't prove God existed or doesn't exist. You just turn the question around so that you didn't answer it. You answered it with a question. Like
yeah,
makes no sense.
You were making rhetorical comment. We're asking rhetorical questions to prove absolutely nothing to the point.
Yeah, and that was every argument he made in that movie was just a counter argument to make you think it was a wise question, and it wasn't. It was like, that doesn't answer my question. Does God exist?
Yeah, it proves nothing. And Kevin Sorbo was the quick to shoot everything down in the first 2 days within seconds.
Dude, I know he had logic. He used logic for everything, and this kid was like, at some point, the kid got mad and was like, "Why do you hate God?"
Yeah, so it didn't even turn into a subject about whether he believed in God or not. It was basically saying, what is your vendetta against God? So he shifts it entirely to put the blame on Kevin Sorbo, and it comes down to the fact it's because Kevin Sorbo's mother died.
Yeah, but and he still didn't prove anything. He just pointed a finger, so the subject was on him instead.
So like, he flipped the victimization over, saying, "Well, what's your beef with God? What? We're done talking about the facts. We're going to run solely on emotion."
Yeah, it was like he had no facts to prove God was existing, other than the fact that the Kevin Sorbo guy, just wasn't, was mad at him for something. But it was like you had like what, a week of lectures to prove to a class that God existed, and and it's stupid because like clearly, obviously at the end he got the whole like standing ovation thing, but realistically, you'd sit there and be like, what's his point? I'm not learning anything except you're a douche.
Yeah, that's all it came down to, is just proving they're both two butthurt individuals. Once again, as I said during Kirk Cameron, pissing on the third rail to see who gets electrocuted first.
That's a good point that you made. It was like every character was awful in their own way. Like between between Kevin Sorbo and Josh, like they were both just assholes.
They were just despicable pieces of trash.
They were, because Josh was so set in his ways that he couldn't do what his girlfriend asked him to do, because he was so butthurt by this. And Kevin Sorbo treated his wife like crap because she was a Christian. So it was like no one was right in this movie. They were just all assholes. And then the fucking priest who just,
oh my god.
And then the priest who just has this holier than thou attitude that the whole movie, like he's just better than everyone else. Like, it pissed me off when he was talking to the mechanic. He was like, "You don't want to lie to a high priest."
Oh, when he said that, don't lie to a pastor.
Yeah, dude, it's like, what the fuck? Like, like you just think you're so great, don't you? God, it just pissed me off.
And then subplot to Asian kid, when he starts getting ideas about Christianity, he calls his dad and he's like, so dad, I've got some question about the Christianity. He goes, well, what does the teacher say? He says God's dead. Well, then tell God is dead.
Yeah, exactly. That proves my point though. Like, you know, when you're like, if you're a businessman in China, it's so fast paced. It's the only thing you should be focused on is work and yeah, yeah, exactly. So the fact that the dad he was kind of portrayed as negative too, you know, like anyone who wasn't a Christian was negative, but everyone who was like Christian was like a victim and super nice and lost. It was just so stupid.
It was so bullshit. And then Muslim girl. So she gets home after school and puts on her iPod and is listening to some sort of scripture reading. I think it was a letter. I think it was the Corinthians.
I was about to say, I think it was Corinthians, but yeah, like what? I mean, come on. Like, I think I made a comment that nobody young reads the Bible. Like, the only people who read the Bible from front to back are like the older generation who were like really afraid of dying. But someone her age does not just come and relax and, you know, I mean, never mind that. Well, we already covered that she would not be a secret Christian, but she would not be listening to Corinthians on her iPod. Come on.
Then her little brother steals her iPod and goes to tell dad. And at this point, I was so pissed off because he literally slaps her, drags her by her hair out of the house and kicks her out of the house for believing in God.
Well, the funny thing was, like, the brother told on her, but when the dad was beating the shit out of her, he's all crying and he's all, like, horrified by it. It was like, what did you expect?
Yeah, first of all, you told dad.
Well, plus... Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, he told the patriarch of a very Muslim conservative family, hardcore conservative, so he knew what he was getting into. It was like saying, don't touch this plate, it's hot. He touches the plate. His hand gets burned. Exactly.
That's like, it's just, I don't I don't understand why he was crying, because he knew this was going to happen. But before that, when he took her iPod, she grabbed him, remember? And I was like, that would not happen because he's a male. So he's technically he's a man. And if she touched him like that, she could be beaten for it because, you know, men are higher than women in Muslim religions.
Yeah. So that's 2 strikes right there.
But
and then go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was about to continue the plot point with that.
Well, I was going to say, it's like they did no research on any religion because they don't, I mean, they were probably trying to portray Muslim as being a really evil race or religion. So,
yeah.
But still, I mean, if you're going to even do that, at least make it factual, you know?
Yeah.
Make it authentic to prove the point.
Do your diligence before you do a movie that involves other cultures, races, and religions. It's not that difficult. Go to Wikipedia if you have to.
Seriously, I mean, I'm not a fan of Muslim religion either, but at least I know more than the fucking movie portrayed. Like, it was just terrible. They just portrayed everything about Muslims wrong.
Yeah. But I mean, he drags her out of the house, kicks her out, and then has a breakdown on the stairs after he kicks her out. Like, all of a sudden, he has this repentance going on.
I know, right? No, he would have disowned her, like, completely. Like,
yeah,
that was it.
I mean, it would have been a "you're dead to me" moment.
Well, yeah, because for one, she's a Christian. 2, she's a female, and you know, like he wouldn't be shedding tears over her. But then again, it plays that whole victimization that Christians, you know, are attacked and targets for everybody.
Yeah, exactly. And somehow this web of characters, also Willie Robinson from Duck Dynasty was shoehorned in there because why not?
He was so annoying.
Like, with his trophy wife.
Well, like, his message pissed me off because it was like, I may be rich, but it doesn't matter because what matters is up there. But it's like, dude, come the fuck on. It's like, you're a millionaire, and you're getting to enjoy a life. You're getting to enjoy a life of luxury with a beautiful wife, but it doesn't matter. Well, you know, if it doesn't matter, then maybe donate your money to charities or do something. Help people in need. Like, prove you're a Christian. But no, doesn't matter, because what matters is what happens when you die.
And I mean, and somehow this just all gets interwoven together. I mean, and then after Josh uncovers the truth about Kevin Sorbo just being, a vehement little bitch, because God apparently took his mother away, for reasons that were not disclosed to the audience. So we don't know if she died of natural causes, if it was maybe a physical malady, was she hit by a bus, was she stabbed by him?
Well, I mean, didn't Hera kill his family in Hercules? Maybe that's what happened. It was Hera.
Yeah, exactly. So who knows? I mean, at some point I wish the Hydra would have popped up, but Kevin Sorbo with his multiple personalities was kind of a Hydra to be kid with.
Well, we kept talking about how we could hear like Xena's war cry in the background. That's really good.
I mean, if she just popped in and kicked in the door, I would get this movie. Just because I would just watch that on infinite repeat.
Oh god, that'd be awesome. She just bursts in and kicks everyone's ass.
That would be another Shyamalan what a twist moment. Oh my God.
Like this movie was everything about it was a dumpster fire.
So anyway, at the end of the movie, when the Newsboys, by the way, for those who don't know who the Newsboys are, they used to be at least a pretty prominent Christian band. They had a couple of gold hits. They won a couple of Dove Awards, which is like the Christian version of the Grammys. And a couple of songs I think I actually still have on my stereo. I mean, I don't know if I think I still do, but whatever, neither here nor there. So the Newsboys, this whole thing ends because everyone's trying to get to the Newsboys concert. Josh's character, Asian boy, Muslim girl, all the other characters decide to show up to go see the Newsboys at a packed arena, like the Amway Center or the Verizon Center back in DC.
And that's the funny thing is, I mean, mainstream Christian, there's no such thing as mainstream Christianity. Like that's why they have their own, their own radio show or radio channels, their own Netflix, for example. It's because it's not mainstream. So the fact that the concert was sold out doesn't make sense, because I know for a fact no like hardcore Christian rock band would sell out. It would be like a few thousand people maybe.
I say, because I remember back when I was like in 7th or 8th grade, I went to go see DC Talk, which is a Christian rap rock group, or at least they used to be. I don't know if they're still around or not, at the Patriot Center or back in DC. And I don't think there's more than maybe 2,000 people tops. And Patriot Center probably has, at least 100,000 plus seats in the entire venue, if not more. I mean, it's one of the bigger venues in the DC metro area. And DC Talk is one of the top breeds back in the 90s. And it was definitely not as packed of a house as the Newsboys in this movie.
I mean, like Britney Spears, for example, she sells millions of tickets every day. Like she sells out arenas like all the time. Like that's there's no way that they would have that kind of success.
Yeah.
In the real world, like nobody cares about that shit. Nobody wants to hear a Christian rock band. Yeah. No one's a Christian rock band is not gonna sell out an arena because it's Christian music. Like, even if you're not necessarily against Christianity, that's still not something you want to listen to.
It's a niche market.
It's very niche. Yeah, exactly. And it's like, because, I don't know, religion in general has always been niche. Like, you go to a bookstore, there's a religion section, but you never want to go there because it's nothing you want to read about, It's like, you want to read Nancy Drew or something action-y, you're not going to want to go to the religion center. It's just
exactly. So, and then Reporter Girl has to apparently go interview the Newsboys for some reason we really don't know why. There's no real reason for her to be in the movie.
Well, no, to prove that atheists are awful people and bad things happen. No, but she kind of barged her way in, remember? Because she's all like walking with a purpose and strutting her body, and she's all showing her past, and she's like, I need to interview with you guys like right now.
Yeah. And she basically just starts lobbing softball questions at the newsboys so they can prove Christianity is real.
Yeah, she like kind of started attacking them. Like it was just so uncalled for. Like I know you're mad because you got cancer and everything, but like, why are you taking it out on them for one?
Yeah.
You know, like, and honestly, if you're a professional journalist, you don't ask stupid shit like that. You know
No.
better.
You leave your emotions at the gate. I mean, I worked for a newspaper for 6 months, and hell, I went to Ground Zero on 9/11 in D.C., and as emotional as it was, we kept our emotions in check because we had to report, and news reporting is supposed to be non-biased.
Exactly. And when you start like accusing people that God doesn't exist, like there's just no purpose for it. It was once again just to show people how evil atheists truly are. It's so stupid.
It's bullshit. And the newsboys, in their defense, being the fact they're Christians, they're like, can we pray for you? Because, well, I mean, let's face it, even from a non-biased perspective, that's what they do. I understand that. But the way it was implied, it was almost like they were praying her cancer away in a laying on of the hands and healing thing.
Yeah, it was really weird. It was like kind of like the Christian version of a sex scene.
Yeah, it really was. Well, no, the elevator scene between Kevin Sorbo and Josh was definitely the sex scene.
Oh, yeah. It's funny because, like, a Christian sex scene is, like, praying and holding hands and just talking about how good Jesus is.
I know. I mean, once again, Kirk Cameron and Christian in the car.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
no, like, yeah, it was really weird. I mean, just, I don't know how to describe it. It was just such a weird scene. Like, it was really didn't really help with the, like, main story at all.
it did not. It had nothing to do with it. But going back to the main story, so somehow Kevin Sorbo's character has a change of heart.
No,
of some kind.
Maybe.
Like he had said, okay, yeah, well, no, okay, well, mind you, he and wifey called it quits.
Well, she broke up with him, remember? Because she walked in and she's like, I'm done, and then she walked off. I think what he was doing was he was like kind of emotional, and he was like maybe in the process of converting. I don't know. It's really hard to say, but he. Like, I liked how he was at the stop sign and it started raining on him. But conveniently, the people in the cafe behind him were dry.
Just dry. Completely. Anyways, so this is the part that pissed both of us off the most, was he gets hit by a car, which turns out, by the way, hit and run.
Yeah, dude, seriously.
The car literally stops for 30 seconds, like the guy's trying to make up his mind. Like, he's weighing his options in his head. He's like, I could go and help this guy, but I'd probably get manslaughter, or even worse, I might get yelled at because I might be a closeted Christian.
He was all bouncing his seat. He's like, what do I do? What the fuck do I do?
Dude, man, what the fuck happened, man? I don't know, man, light another joint. Or takes off.
Just go. Just drive.
Just go. And then out pops David A.R. White, his African colleague, and instead of calling 911, I'll let you lead this dance. Go for it.
Oh. So Kevin Sorbo is dying in the street very painfully, very fucking slowly. He is miserable. And instead of calling an ambulance, the pastor just goes, what did he say? He's like, that car could have killed you instantly. And he's like, at this moment, I bet you wish he did, but this is actually a good thing. And it's like, what are you fucking talking about? He's suffering. Like, what the fuck?
He's in agony, and it turns into a conversion scene.
Dude, like, this poor guy. Okay, so, like, he is suffering. He is dying. He can't talk. He's probably coughing up his lungs right now. And the guy's all like, this is a second chance for you to convert before you die, to believe in Jesus. And it's like, dude, call a fucking ambulance.
Yeah, and there's people around him, and nobody called an ambulance. They are just staring at, like, Kirk Cameron reacting in the car scene.
They watched him die. Like, they watched this guy die.
It was like the Kitty Genovese moment. I mean, I don't know if you remember that incident in the news.
And they thought, what? And they thought it was like a good thing. They thought it was for God. And it was like, you watched someone die. You let someone die.
You got that blood on your hands, assholes.
But they didn't see it that way. And oh my God. And the worst part is after he died, they were so proud of themselves. They're like, we did a good thing here. I know he's in the hands of the Lord now. It's like, dude, oh my God, you didn't even try. Oh my God, it pissed me off. Like,
it's like Kevin Sorbo is going to go to a better place, but the rest of you fuckers are going to hell.
It was terrible. Like, oh my God, I felt so bad for him because I was like, yeah, he was kind of an asshole and he didn't deserve, well, he kind of deserved to get broken up with, but to be hit by a car and suffer there.
No, that's bullshit.
While the pastor stares at him and is saying it's a good thing. No.
Like, and here's horrible. The thing, too. Last rites cannot be given except by a higher-ranking member of a church. It can't be done by just a regular priest. I mean, it was almost like David A.R. White was like Judge Dredd, like, I am the god.
It just irritates. Like, you would think someone in the crowd would panic and call. There's always that one person or two that's calling 911, you know? But the fact that he didn't even bother, like, what if he could have been saved? He lived long enough for an ambulance to show up. And the fact that he just let him die because he thought it was a good way to repent before he died, like, that moment made him the worst character in the whole movie. I mean, between Muslim girls being closet Christians and Christian boys getting butthurt over a philosophy class, this man let another man die. And held his hand and tell him that, you know, he needed to repent. That was the most fucked up thing in the whole movie.
There was even a line where David Ray or White actually says point blank, I'm jealous of you because you're about to know God a lot better than I am.
The fuck?
Oh my!
I was like, dude, literally adding insult to injury. Like, you were literally slapping him in the face as he's dying. Like, what the fuck, dude? Oh my God.
During the scene, I wasn't even watching the movie. I was watching your expression the whole time. And, like, I've watched most of your, well, probably not most, but a sizable chunk of your videos, including your rage compilations. And I have never seen you so pissed off in any of those games, comparatively speaking, to that one 5-minute death scene. I thought you were going to reach through the camera and throttle me for even suggesting this fucking movie to you. There's a reason I was sinking lower and lower into my seat.
I thought it was awful. Like, oh my God, like, I could not believe he was saying this shit. Like, and if you guys think I'm exaggerating this, I'm not. He literally said that word for word. He literally said...
It's true.
Yeah, he literally said that car could have killed you instantly, but it didn't, and that's a good thing. And he literally did say, I'm jealous of you. Like, this guy is suffering. He is dying, and not in a pleasant way, and you're jealous of that? Horrible.
It's asinine.
And, okay, hypothetically, because everyone has different beliefs, but what if there is no God and it's just, you know, you just shut off like a computer, you know?
Yeah.
You just told this man that he's lucky to be suffering and that you're jealous of him for dying, and there was nothing afterwards. Like, that's fucked up, dude. His last words were this guy telling him that he is a lucky man. And that is like the ultimate slap in the face.
Oh,
you know?
It was terrible. I mean, where's Uncle Bill from Kirk Cameron to kind of at least bring back a couple moments of laughter? Like, he's sitting there like, I saved the day. And credits.
But that'd be trolling though. No, but seriously.
I would have loved it if Uncle Bill made like some sort of cameo at the very end. It's like, I saved his soul. Ba-doo, boo, ba-doo-doo, credits.
And it's all raining, but he's dry.
He's just standing there just staring at like Kevin with his mug of hot chocolate. Why does it feel like that every movie we watch, somehow we're going to shoehorn Kirk Cameron saving Christmas into it?
Well, because even that movie knew it was a joke.
Well, yeah. But anyway, so after the death scene... Go ahead, sorry. I'm cutting you off.
Well, I was just going to say that part right there, that ending part, made him the worst, the most horrible character in that whole movie. Like, even by Christian definition, like standards, that was not okay. That is like the most horrible thing you could do to someone who's dying.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
Because he thought, okay.
No, go ahead. I was just gonna make one other segue kind of comment about after that whole scene.
Well, I was gonna say, like, even if it wasn't Kevin Sorbo, like that was somebody with parents or siblings or a partner, maybe children who loved him, and you're telling him that it's okay, that you're telling him that he's lucky to be suffering and that you're jealous of him. That was like the most fucked up thing anybody could do, even in a fictional story.
You know what it almost turned into, now that I think about it? Jesus dying on the cross.
Kind of.
Like Kevin Sorbo, he's dying, he's in agony. Oh, by the way, his arms are out wide in a pose, by the way. Did you notice that?
I didn't.
His arms are stretched out like Kevin Bernard at the end of Hamlet. He was in a Jesus Christ pose.
I didn't even notice that. I was too busy being pissed at the guy.
I almost turned into Film Brain and just yelled symbolism.
So I guess in that sense, but the thing is that even Christians know this, that Jesus chose to be killed. Like, he chose to go through the punishment and die. Kevin Sorbo was just hit and run. That was an accident. Like, he didn't want to die, and he still suffered.
And he even said, I don't want to die. I don't want to die. He said it multiple times. He said it 3 times, like Peter denying Christ 3 times in the garden.
That is what makes it horrible too. This guy was begging for help, and he was like, "I'm jealous of you. I'm so jealous of you. This is great. I don't want to die." It's like, this poor man, call him an ambulance. Oh my god.
You know what would be actually kind of funny? Is
what?
What would be kind of funny is David A.R. White's character dies, goes up to heaven, and St. Peter's standing there, and Kevin Sorbo is standing there next to him going, "Bitch, please."
Bye.
Down. So at the end, this whole scene is just completely brushed aside, swept under the rug, because it sidesteps back to the Newsboys concert. And then right before the Newsboys play their titular song, God's Not Dead, Willie Robinson somehow comes back into the picture and says, I understand there's been some trouble between Josh's character and the teacher, withholding the fact that the teacher is now dead, right, and saying, God is with you, Josh, for not only getting a standing ovation and converting his atheist classmates, which, by the way, that did happen at the 3rd session, converting other people to Christianity. He gets a standing ovation from this sold-out arena. And Willie Rod's like, you're doing God's work. I'm like, says the guy that's probably driving a diamond-encrusted Bugatti Veyron.
Okay, so, yeah. So the classroom that stood up for him and said God is not dead, like, that would never happen. Because most people nowadays are either agnostic or atheist. Or if they are Christian, they're not like tooth and nail Christians where they believe everything in the Bible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, no way he would get a standing ovation. If anything, realistically, everybody would stare at him like he was the fucking crazy Christian, and that's how they would treat him. Is that the crazy? Like, no, he would not go on. Yeah, but the concert was worse because, like you pointed out, you're like, how does he know this? Like, this guy is a millionaire. Like,
there is no way he would know anything about this movie. He is in the movie in 2 scenes. The beginning, when news reporter chick interviews him in that Johnny on the spot moment, and this 30-second video at the end. Nowhere in between does he ever make a guest appearance, because I'm sure they probably couldn't afford his budget.
Seriously, like, he was just a very random, misplaced character who had no purpose in the plot other than to flex his riches, you know?
He was the Uncle Bill of this movie.
No, at least Uncle Bill was like... No, not really, because Uncle Bill was awesome.
Oh, okay, well, yeah.
But no,
yeah, that's like saying the shit I took yesterday was better than the shit I took today.
Gross.
Well, we already talking about a piece of shit movie, so I figure I might as well just bring in the poo jokes.
You know, you're 6'5". I can't help but wonder, when you sit down on the toilet, do your legs bend? Like, are they higher than your head?
I do like the Rodin's the thinker pose when I'm taking a shit.
No, I could just, like, I just imagine you have like these long legs, so when you sit down on the toilet, your like knees are like literally above your head because your legs are bent.
Well, that's how I practice my sex positions.
Anyway.
So we watched a movie.
But yeah,
and at the end, they pull into the titular song, God's Not Dead. Okay, sure, it's bookending the title. And then it says, text, the lead singer, Michael Tate of Newsboys, formerly one of the rappers from DC Talk, by the way, says, text everybody, God's not dead. He's truly alive. And then it says on the screen, text everybody. So, of course, like tonight, I actually texted Rae just to piss her off.
Yeah, that was the intro, literally.
Yeah, well, no,
even...
Yeah.
What?
No, I'm just saying, like, I actually did text you that at the end of the movie when the credits were rolling.
Yeah, you texted me that too, and I was like, really? No, but yeah, so literally everyone in that stadium pulls out their phone with smiles on their faces and inspirational music as they text their loved ones. The Chinese kid sent one to his dad, who was like, what the fuck?
Bear with me. I'm going to text Harkov.
I think...
I'm going to see what Harkov says.
Kevin Sorbo's wife, who is also the sister of the reporter's boyfriend, she texted him, and he was like, okay, whatever, drove off in his, like, Lamborghini.
Yeah.
Lamborghini. But then the worst part, oh my God, this is the worst part. The wife also texted Kevin Sorbo, and then the pastor got a hold of his phone and read it, and he's like, and he's all smiling, and he showed it to his friend, and he's like, tonight has been a miracle. And it was like,
yes!
you let someone die miserably, and then you take his phone and then you say that. Like, I hated this.
Propaganda by the Nazi Party was less derisive than this.
I'm sorry, but like, realistically, if you let someone die, don't the cops don't they take you away for that? Like, isn't that a crime to let someone die without at least attempting to call the ambulance?
Yeah, exactly. No, it's a crime, and then everybody else is an accessory to a murder.
Yeah, dude. And it's like fucking, on top of that, they fucking took his phone and got the message, God's not dead. And it's like amazing, and it's inspirational, and it's like good things happen, and they're all smiling about it. And it's like, you murdered somebody.
You murdered somebody. Good things happen. Okay, yes, good things do happen, but you have to try to achieve said good things. That is why, if you believe in a higher power, that said higher power gave you the essence of free will to act.
You know, I mean, it's like the Crusades. It's like they murder people who don't believe, but yet they're the victims in this whole thing.
Oh my God. Yes, everything is
awful.
It's completely abhorrent, and I'm sorry that I subjected you to this movie. I really am. Even though I will be honest, ripping anything with you is a lot of fun.
I wanted to watch it. You know that.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm glad I did, because it really pissed me off enough to make a review about it.
So just wait till we watch God's Not Dead too, because that's gonna come.
On my face.
Well, by the time I'm done with you.
Oh God.
Rage load.
No, but yeah, that whole movie was just, it was awful. And on top of that, he didn't prove God existed. He never proved it. He never proved God wasn't dead.
It just turned into a vendetta piece.
When you summarize the movie as basically as possible, like for dumb people, it was a college kid who got offended by a college assignment, so he went on a tirade to prove God was existing, or God didn't do, and then a bunch of other characters did their shit, and someone was murdered, and that's how it ended.
You know what it's almost like? It's like he was an anti-social justice warrior.
Kind of. Like the fucking conservative Christian version.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because you get the social justice warriors that get uppity about the slightest thing. I mean, here's an example. I used to say when I asked for signatures, you're John Hancock. And then I said that one time, and a woman called me a chauvinistic, sexist cunt. Because I said John Hancock.
Well, I mean, there's that one meme where that chick has glasses and she's like, And it's like, did you just assume my gender? And
Yeah.
it's like, I'm sorry, but if you see someone, like, I'm not trying to get into politics here, but
No, of course.
well, anyway, we just won't go there. How about that?
Yeah,
but
fair.
That's the thing though, is how come SJWs are always, made fun of, but nobody does it to the Christian conservative sides. I mean,
Exactly.
if anyone's a snowflake, it's them. I've seen people get mad over anti-Trump bumper stickers.
Oh yeah, easily, without question.
And then they call us snowflakes, but they're the ones crying over Starbucks Christmas cups.
Oh my God, I know.
And their guns, like, no one's taking your gun away. Why are you so obsessed with your guns? You don't do anything with them.
Yeah, exactly. You have them on your shelf, and that's about the extent of it.
Yeah, why do you need an AR-15 rifle? Like, there's no need for it in the modern age. You don't need that rifle. You just want it.
Exactly. You want to. I mean, it's like Shrek. Do you think maybe he's compensating for something? But
yeah.
Anyways, we've been rambling about this for over an hour now, so we should.
Holy crap.
Yeah, it's looking at this. It's like an hour and 10 minutes. That's even longer than Kirk Cameron.
I would say, to be fair, the movie was actually 2 hours long, so there was a lot to do.
Yeah, but I mean, overall, this movie was a piece of shit. I hope I don't ever have to watch it again.
Well, I mean, if you're looking to watch something that just instantly pisses you off, it's a good one. So.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah, if you really want to like blow up at somebody, you want to get motivated, don't watch Rocky, don't watch Terminator, watch God's Not Dead. Sure.
It's like the most passive aggressive way to get angry at something.
Yes, that is very true. But what else do you want to bring up before we wrap this to a close?
It was a terrible movie, and I just want to put this out there. Like, I know I say a lot of anti-Christian things. I'm not anti-religion at all. For one, I grew up with a grandma who was a Bible thumper, so I've seen the worst of the worst. And two, I respect you a whole lot more if you don't shove your religion down my throat. And but also, I could respect a movie a lot more if the Christian theme wasn't so prominent. Mm-hmm. Like, if it was directed by a Christian director and it, like, it had a Christian character, or like there was maybe subtle Christian themes to it, but most of the movie was about something interesting and good. I could watch it. But when you really try your hardest to push God down everyone's throat, and your propaganda and your victimizations, you just make yourself look like an ass, honestly.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's what it comes down to. And I hate to say it, but every religious movie that I have seen is portrayed in such a harsh victimization light. There is no redeeming qualities.
And that's what makes Christian movies so terrible. It's like, I'm a Christian and I'm a victim here. But it's like, how about, what if there's a movie where the Christian wasn't a victim and they acknowledged that and they told other people not to treat him like a victim? Like, that would be so much more respectable,
Yeah, exactly. But that never happens in these religious movies. It's literally, if they're going to do a religious movie, do something like a Christian doing good things for the world.
Yeah, like...
Do a montage on Ma Teresa. Who knows?
And no, I don't mean going to Africa and giving poor, homeless, starving kids Bibles.
No. We talked about that in the Kirk Cameron Saving Christmas. But no, I mean, it's just do something that has some substance.
That has impact on something, know?
Don't hide behind the wall of victimization.
Yeah, dude. And that's something that they always, like, a lot of the conservative people attack rape survivors for, is the victimization. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, for one, coming forward does not make you a victim, okay? And two, they're not victimizing themselves like you Christians are. Like, it's amazing how they're always quick to point fingers at you, but they're doing it themselves.
Exactly. No, it's a complete just contradiction and paradox regarding every little fucking thing.
Exactly. It'd be a really good movie, though, is if it was a Christian character who saw the faults in this and the logic, and was actually like internally torn about what to do, Mm-hmm. And in the end, they decided that that they were a Christian and they were happy, but they didn't want to be like, you know, a typical victimized Christian. Like that would be a good movie right there, because that's self-realization and it has plot, and it's not a victimizing movie. It's someone who's going through internal struggles. But like you said, there's no such thing as a Christian movie where they're not being a victim.
Yeah, I kind of want to send this movie to the president of the college I went to, because he's a Jesuit priest, and I'd love to just get his take on the overall thing and just so I can hear it from a faith-based individual. It's like, you know, what was your take on this?
You know, this movie really brought back a lot of memories for me, because like when I'd go to my grandma's house when I was little, like all her movies, her music, her books, everything was just God. And I remember I used to cry. I used to cry to my mom, and I was like, I don't want to go spend the night at grandma's. And she's like, you'll have fun. It's like, no, I don't
Actually,
want
no, not at all. Not one iota. That's just bad news.
But it was like, I was like, I don't want to go there. And she's like, why? I was like, it's boring. And like anytime we went over there, like we'd watch Christian channels and Christian news. Did you like that's a thing? Christian news. Oh God.
Well, yeah.
Christian
Bill O'Reilly.
radio. We listened to Christian radio. It was just Christian 24/7, and it was like, I hated it so fucking much.
Yeah.
And that's probably why I'm kind of biased against it, but whatever.
No, I mean, it's based upon experience, and that's where biases come from, are based on experiences. And if you had a rough experience, obviously that's going to impact your thought process, but everything you said in this review had fact and basis, and you weren't just pissing on the third rail with the rest of them.
Okay, fair point.
I mean, you actually had hard-earned facts and details to back up your thesis, which Josh didn't have at any point in the course of this movie.
You know, this whole video I should have been like, what if I told you it wasn't actually a terrible movie? What if I told you that it's actually very good?
You know what you should do? You should totally do a counterpoint based upon your new series that's coming up.
Oh, what?
You know.
That'd be interesting.
Just like to flip it over. But that's for another time. I'm not going to spill too much beans over what Rae's got in the offing for one of her upcoming series. But it's going to be hilarious. I'll tell you that much right now. 2020
is going to have a lot of stuff coming your way.
Besides more collaborations with us. But
oh yeah, there's going to be a lot more. People are going to think we're actually doing it. You know what I'm going to do?
I know.
You know what I'm going to do, Boogie? There's actually a lotion that is like it's like called cum lotion, because it's like literally designed to look like cum. One of these days when we do a review, I'm just gonna put a little at the corner of my mouth, and then as we review, I'm just gonna like let it drip down my chin.
You know what I might even consider doing is like moving the camera up and like so all you see are like bare shoulders. And like, you know, I'll like splash water on my face so it looks like I just got done sweating.
You'll be like panting, be like, "How you doing, Rae?" And I'll just like let it drip. I'm like, I'm doing good.
We just watched Continent Dead 3.
We just got done watching God, and we just got so inspired.
Anyways, what else do you want to bring to this before we call it a session?
Honestly, I think we covered it all. If you guys are looking for a piece of shit movie that'll piss you off, God's Not Dead. Otherwise, do Kirk Cameron. At least it was meant to be funny. Not intentionally, but...
It still was hilarious, though, comparatively speaking.
Yeah.
But once again, thank you so much, Rae, for joining me for this review. I definitely always enjoy talking to you and comparing notes, and you're just awesome in general.
Thanks. I feel like crap, but thanks. It's been fun. It's always fun hanging out with you, too.
Oh, yeah. So, as always, guys, I'll put a link in the description below to Rae's YouTube channel, so definitely check her out. Watch some of her videos, drop a like, and subscribe. If not, she'll punch you in the throat. No, I'm just kidding. Also, once again... Go ahead, sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, at this point, I'll just cough in your face and get you sick.
There we go. And as always, a big thank you to Christoph Rae for being the sponsor of the Boogie Night Project. If you like low-poly horror games with a focus on ambience, character development, storyline, check the link in the description below to his works. I guarantee you will not be disappointed. So, and of course, with that being said, before I call it a session, if you like the Boogie Night Project and you want to find out more, I do have a Twitter page as well as a public Discord channel. And links to both of those are in the description below, as well as a link to my temporarily defunct Twitch page. And if you have some money that you want to just throw away aimlessly like Willie Robinson did in this fucking movie, my Patreon. Otherwise, I hope you all have a fantastic night, and I'll catch you on the flip side, alright? Peace.